In the middle of the South African bush, zoologists Ronnie Makukule and Robin Cook have set up 50 beehives. The colonies are positioned right next to the Kruger National Park. For more than a year now, the two conservationists have been testing whether honeybees can protect selected trees inside the park. Believe it or not, these bees can ward off the park's largest residents, elephants. Just like people, elephants don't like getting stung. They also have an acute sense of smell and hearing, so one hint of a beehive and they're off.
And the reason we're doing that is that in our protected areas here in South Africa, we've got a buildup of elephant densities and concern over the impact that they may be having on our large tree species. And so we're trying to find ways that we can mitigate the effects that elephants have on trees. And thereby placing honeybees in these trees, we're hoping that we can find a new method to actually protect the trees from elephant impact.
While elsewhere in Africa, the elephant population is in decline, in South Africa, their numbers are growing. Here, nature reserves are fenced in and equipped with man-made watering holes. Protected and well provided for, the elephant population has flourished, so much so that they've become a problem. The elephants strip trees and shrubs naked, often uprooting them in the process and destroying the habitat other animals and plants in the park rely on. Elephants are particularly partial to one of the park's largest trees, the marula.
Marula trees are a highly sought-after tree by elephants, and it's because they've got a lot of forage for the elephants, and we're seeing a lot of impact on these trees. And for example, in this study site here, we've seen a decline of around 35% of the marula trees since elephants have been in the system. So marula trees are very important in our ecosystems. They provide a lot of food for species, they provide habitat, and so we know them as a keystone species.
The elephants often flatten the marula trees just so they can get to the leaves. But so far, the marula with bees living in them remain largely untouched. Out of 50 trees, only one has been damaged over the past year. Cook's Bee Project is a new approach in park management. In the past, a large number of elephants were simply culled. Nearly 17,000 were shot dead in Kruger National Park to keep the population stable and protect the vegetation.
So when it comes to managing the effects that elephants have on large trees, there's been a mindset shift from controlling elephant numbers themselves, as was previously thought, to mitigating the effects that they actually have on the trees. So you could approach this on a large scale where you could try and manage elephant distribution, down to a smaller scale of actually managing the effects or managing the large trees themselves, protecting the large trees themselves.
With the beehives, the zoologists are hoping to control the elephants' movements by keeping them moving. If the animals stay in one place too long, they can inflict extensive damage. But above all, the conservationists say bees are the perfect way of keeping elephants away from individual objects of particular importance, like trees that have birds nesting in them.
We've got bark stripping here by elephants. And what the bark stripping does is it leaves the tree slightly vulnerable to other infestations. So we've got wood borer activity, which have come over here, but it can also allow termites to get in, and it can allow the tree to be vulnerable to fires. So these sort of trees start to get eaten up from the inside, and it's because they've had some bark removed.
The bees will likely ward off the elephants, but it's not yet clear how the vultures, which are an endangered species, will react to the insects. In the villages around the park, people have little experience with bees. Many are afraid of them, an attitude Ronnie Makukule is working to change. He plans to start keeping bees in his village and to train some of the local residents as beekeepers. The first hives should be set up soon on this piece of land just outside the village. Makukule wants to help residents overcome their fears and teach young people how to keep bees.
Starting a bee project in this community will help the community to make income out of bees by also starting their own projects through bees and also producing honey that they can sell in the supermarkets.
Back inside the park, the conservationists have found another way of reducing elephant numbers in problem areas. They've laid dry a number of watering holes. That means the elephants have to keep moving to find fresh water, relieving the pressure on the local ecosystem. But smaller parks don't have that option, so there's growing interest in the results of Cook's experiments with bees. He believes it's a groundbreaking method with huge potential.
But we would love to see it applied to new species, particularly species which elephants are after, such as the baobab species, and then to see if it can be applied to our other projects, such as the vulture nest project, to see if we can protect trees with vulture nests in them using African honeybees, and whether that relationship will or will not work.
They should soon find out. The first hives are already in place. If it all works out, the bees could in the future not only protect trees, but also the birds and animals that depend on the trees for their survival.